In assignment number 2, you're required to do two things with your data. The first is to develop descriptive statistics for each of your quantitative variables. Looking at your worksheet tab with the original data, I see that my quantitative variables are weight, scale length, number of frets, and price. In order to develop descriptive statistics, I'll use an example to develop it for the number of frets. The first thing I do is go to Excel in the Data tab and choose Data Analysis. And in Data Analysis, I choose the function Descriptive Statistics and hit OK. This brings up the argument box. In this argument box, the first thing I need to do is to tell it what data I'm interested in. So I'm interested in the number of frets, so I will highlight that. It knows that the data is in columns, and note that I show that the labels are in the first row, so I have the number of frets. I'd like to put my output here in this same worksheet, so I'm going to say I'll put it in this output range, and let me choose an output range. I'll place that data just here to the right, starting at this point. And I also want to show the summary statistics. So if I hit OK, Excel will now develop for me the summary statistics. The most important being the mean, median, mode, standard deviation, variance, and the range, min, max, sum, and the count of data points. For this assignment, I would suggest that you would take, and as you develop each of the descriptive statistics for each of your variables, to highlight and cut that information. I'll cut that information and I will paste it into a second worksheet here. And I would do this for each of my variables. In the second part of assignment 2, you need to take and develop frequency tables and charts for a number of your variables. So I've already done that. So for example, for the weight, that variable weight, going back to my original data sheet, you see I have the weight in pounds. I've taken and looked at that data, and I've developed three categories: 4 to 6 pounds, 6.1 to 8, 8.1 to 10, and here's the frequency or the number of guitars in each of those categories, and summed up for a total of 20. The relative frequency then is, the relative frequency of 4 to 6 pounds is 5 out of the total 20, which is 0.25. The relative frequency for the next category is 4 out of 20, which is 0.2 pounds. And the relative frequencies need to add up to 1. Cumulative frequency would be 25% are in the first category, 45% are in the first two categories, and 100% in the first three categories. From this data, I need to develop a variety of charts. So I'll do that first for this information about the number of frets. So if I want to graph the number of frets, so let me take and highlight that data, and I want to graph that with the relative frequency. So I will go up to my top tab for Insert, and I want to insert a column chart. So I'm going to choose a simple column chart, and I hit In. I now have developed that chart for the relative frequency of the number of frets. I would like to go in here and rename this. So relative frequency of number of frets for my title. And you would repeat that same process for multiple variables.